All right, welcome to online classroom again. This is we'll be covering 23.2 um, roots, and your objectives for this is describe the main tissue in a mature root. Describe the different functions in a root. Below you have pictured some common root vegetables, radish here. You will be dissecting a radish in your garden dissection. So you see here that is a root. So we'll be talking about some of the structures as well as probably the most common, that being either a carrot or um, potatoes are also a common root vegetable. So there are two types of root systems. Pictured, you have the two types of root system. Here you have a taproot system, and here you have a fibrous root system. So a taproot system is common in dicots, and you can see it has this large central root, usually used to penetrate deep down into the soil, find a lot of water. See this with somewhat larger plants, such as these oaks, hickories, and also weeds, right? Because weeds can grow just about everywhere, between cracks, things like that. So it's very good at finding water. And then you have this fibrous root system, which is more common in monocots. And you see these in grasses. Now, the reason for this is this creates a mesh type network that helps from the soil eroding. It's not very deep, but keeps the ground pretty much from eroding. A little bit about the root anatomy. So if we take out a single root, the top here is a cross section. Here, this is a longitudinal section or a long cut of it, so you get to see kind of some of these structures. So the three tissues that we want to cover, being the epidermis or dermal tissue, ground tissue, and vascular tissue. Now, all organs that we talk about are going to have these three tissues, and pretty much that's what we're going to be looking at. So for this, we're going to be looking at the root. So the dermal tissue or the epidermis in this case is going to be on the outside, epidermis being epi or the outside. So therefore, that's going to be the tissue located right here on the outside. The endodermis is going to be here on the inside, and that's going to pretty much uh, line the vascular tissues there, and line the ground tissues in here. So it creates this kind of ground tissue section here for the root. So you have endo on the inside or endodermis and epidermis on the outside. This is very similar to that of your skin. Your skin that you see, that being the epidermis, so it's on the outside, so the thin layer of skin on the outside, very similar to that of a root. The ground tissue, okay, the ground tissue here is going to be on the inside, kind of this green here, this thick section here, and that's going to provide storage for the plant. Okay, it's going to store water, nutrients, things like that when it comes to dormancy seasons, and a lot of different things. So it's going to store these nutrients in order for a plant to continue growth during those dormancy or periods of when it's not growing but it's not dead. So the ground tissue is there. You'll see these cells with very large vacuoles, which makes sense because uh, they they need a lot of storage in the vacuoles. What is going to be used for storage? Um, the vascular tissue, it's going to be in on the inside in the middle here. If you look at the top, you can see it best. The phloem here, okay, that's vascular tissue. Remember, that's going to transport nutrients. And then the xylem being here in the middle, that's going to transport water. Okay, so those are going to run through the middle of the plant, or sorry, middle of the root. and up all the way through and into the leaves. This portion here, this is going to be called the root cap. This portion here is the apical meristem, which is important in secondary growth, or sorry, primary growth, where that is going to dig into the ground and continue to grow deeper and deeper into the ground, creating a firm uh, base and anchoring the plant into the ground. Um, so very pretty simple. Mainly what we want to focus on is looking at the different tissues in each organ. So all tissues are going to be uh, seen in all organs. A couple things about the roots. Uh, their function: support, anchor, ground, store food, absorb water and nutrients. Um, Nutrients use active transport. Water then uses osmosis. Water and nutrients filtered by what is called a Casparian strip. This increases the pressure. So that talks about how they get transported. Here's a um, table here for you to see the different types of nutrients and the different functions of these. So if you have lack of these can cause problems in your uh, plants. And usually fertilizers are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium based. So these three top here are used mainly in fertilizers, as long as other things here that you can use to help plant growth. All right, that was chapter 23.2, roots. Thank you for tuning in.